Okay, and then at the end of the Raw Legends night, we saw Drew McIntyre defeat Keith Lee in a good match, only to be challenged by Goldberg. And Dennis, the only question I have is why?
Why not?
No, not why not. Why Goldberg again? We saw Goldberg versus The Fiend. We saw
Yeah.
Goldberg versus Braun Strowman. We saw Goldberg versus Kevin Owens. Why make Goldberg show up again and just challenge for the title straight away?
Because he's a star, and I can't put it down to anything else other than the fact that Goldberg is a star. He is a legend. He is a household credible name, and more importantly, he's a star maker. All the men you just mentioned far better off than they ever were or ever would have been had they not faced Goldberg.
Well, no, it completely killed Kevin Owens' Universal title reign, which was great. It should have been him versus Jericho for that title at WrestleMania. It said he was demoted to the US title, and the Fiend, he beat the Fiend. That destroyed the Fiend.
But did it though? Did it? I would argue that getting lit on fire in the middle of the ring is much worse than losing your title.
Yeah, but he lost the title first. My point is, why don't you, use this to build a star? Like, surely, it's a star-making performance to beat the Fiend.
But hold on, but we needed the title off the Fiend to get to that amazing Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena. If the Fiend had been the champion, you wouldn't have got that match. And that's what that was all leading to. I mean, that was all planned. That was all planned. We knew what we're getting ourselves into with the John Cena program. I mean, you look at Kevin Owens, look at everything he's done over the years since losing to Goldberg. He wasn't ready for the main event moment at WrestleMania 33, and Goldberg, if anything, he helped Kevin Owens out. He did Kevin Owens a favor by taking the title off him and not allowing Owens to main event, because Owens wasn't ready for it. He would have crumbled under the pressure. I mean, you ask Vince, he gave Kevin Owens a big thumbs down for a second card match, a second match on the card efforts. So ultimately Goldberg did him a favor. And Braun Strowman, well, he put Braun Strowman over huge last year at WrestleMania. So all I can say is Goldberg, star maker. And you haven't even heard the full story of what we're planning here.
What's the full story?
Well, basically the full story is we have Goldberg challenging Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. But don't worry, Keith, we haven't forgotten about Keith Lee. He'll get his little 2-minute spot in the Royal Rumble before going out, but he'll look strong. You don't need to worry about that. Rest in the knowledge that Keith Lee will endure. But it's all about Goldberg. It's all about Goldberg. He is the hottest property in wrestling. He is the go-to guy, and he is going to challenge Drew McIntyre. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, we're going to have Drew McIntyre lose to Goldberg in a 3-minute squash. And, if it was last year or even the year before, you probably would have been right. However, we're going to have Drew McIntyre lose to Goldberg in a 4-minute squash.
Oh.
Hey, you should be you're sighing and you're acting out. You look like you want to leave, but the truth is, Drew McIntyre is getting an extra minute to shine with Goldberg. He's getting an extra minute of credibility. But basically, then we have Goldberg leave the Royal Rumble as the WWE champion. Yeah, and that's something that he's never done. Exactly. And Goldberg, again, I put it to you. When people say who has not been WWE champion, who should have been, Goldberg is top of that list. He's at top of that list of people who should have held the WWE championship. I mean, he's held the world heavyweight, he's held the universal, but the WWE championship has evaded him, eluded him. He needs that. So basically, then you would think that it would lead to Drew McIntyre getting a rematch, correct?
Yep.
Well, okay. Well, and again, if it was last year or the year before, you probably would have guessed correctly. Drew McIntyre would have gotten a rematch. However, this year, we're not giving Drew McIntyre a rematch, because then we're going to have Goldberg come out and challenge Roman Reigns for a Universal Championship match at WrestleMania, and we're going to have champion versus champion to unify the titles. And I know what you're thinking. Who's going to win? The answer, obviously, Goldberg. This whole thing is about Goldberg. It's about Goldie Two Belts, man. Goldie Two Belts. He's gone. Goldie Two Belts. What more can I say?